All right, y'all, school's back in session. Let's kick off class with a little pop quiz.
Pop quiz. Pop quiz.
This is Not My Party. Brought to you by the Bulwark. Remember a couple weeks ago, we talked about the Democrats being on the struggle bus as they failed to pass their bipartisan infrastructure bill and the
human infrastructure.
There's that word again.
Human infrastructure.
mega bill.
What?
After a little break, I'm wondering, do you know what's actually in these bills? I'm betting many of you aren't 100% sure, but guess what?
It's not your fault.
It's really not. 7 in 10 Americans say they know little to nothing about these bills. This lack of clarity is a big PR fail for the Biden administration.
It sounds bad.
Sorry.
But it's also partly on the media and smartasses like me, who think it's more fun to cover the slap fight between the squad and Senator Dems than the substance. So before we get to the politics,
Politics.
I'm addicted to it.
here's the TLDR on the BIF and the BBB. Let's start with the bipartisan infrastructure package. It includes the biggest investment in bridge repair since we created the highway system. Fixes roads, replaces literally every lead pipe in the country, puts $100 billion into public transit and trains. Libs are really horny for trains for some reason. Fixes up some airports, funds electric vehicle charging stations, and upgrades nationwide broadband to make sure your snaps are loading nice and fast, even when you're in the boonies.
I got a signal!
It also puts a considerable amount of money into preparing us for the extreme weather events and increased flooding that will come as a result of a changing climate. It will cost $500 billion and increase the debt by a couple $100 billion. But it seems like only Joe Manchin and us never Trump cucks care about that these days.
Did you get all that? Yeah, I think so.
The second is the lovely
Human infrastructure.
bill, aka the BBB, the Build Back Better bill. Negotiations on this are still ongoing, but here's what's currently in the bill's framework. Universal free preschool, money for child and elder care, $300 tax credit per child per month, which adds up to a lot of moolah. A buttload of cash for climate mitigation, building wind turbines and solar panels and clean energy tax credits. Hearing benefits for the olds.
That's what they're saying under their breath? How awful! I want to hear all of it.
Construction, rehab, and improvement on more than 1 million affordable homes, which is my favorite part of the bill. And a bunch of other stuff aimed at the hot new progressive buzzword, equity.
Interesting concept.
So there's a lot of good stuff in here. But when I say a lot, it means the bills take longer to read than the Dune books. It's too much for people to wrap their mind around. And while the Democrats are arguing among themselves about how much to spend, the Republicans are just trolling Biden over problems real
Inflation, replacing COVID as the #1 threat to the economy.
and imagined.
What's the most important issue here in Virginia?
Not teaching them critical race theory.
What is critical race theory?
I don't have that much knowledge on it, but it's something that I don't care for.
Fair point.
It's time for the Dems to wake up because Biden's poll numbers are tanking.
He's facing some of his lowest approval ratings yet. He's 37% approval, 50% disapproving.
They need to shed this human centipede act and figure out how to get a fresh start, like Pete and Kim K.
But how?
Here's how. Focus on a couple popular items that are easy to understand and affect people's lives. They could center their messaging on affordable housing and free pre-K and emphasize that the super wealthy are going to pay for it.
Warning. System overheat. System overheat. System overheat.
That's popular. And then make sure everyone in the country knows that this is what Joe Biden is doing. And rather than sniping at each other, campaign on how it's the Republicans who are trying to stop these popular policies. That's good politics. Because if the Dems keep on this current trajectory of infighting and being prickly with the media,
You are such a pain in the neck.
well, that's a path to ending up sounding like a whiny loser.
It's called fake news.
See you next week for more Not My Party. Have you subscribed to Not My Party yet? If not, swipe up. Do it. Please. Pretty please.